Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar. My name is Alexis Batulis with Columbus US, and today we have a special presentation for you on 7 Columbus Food Success Stories. We started the call today by putting everybody on mute, so if you have any questions pop up during today's presentation, please use the question box on the upper right-hand side of the screen to ask any questions that may come up. At the end, we'll have time for a Q&A with our presenter. Finally, we are recording this session and will be sending a link to all attendees within an hour after this live webcast. And now I'm excited to introduce your presenter today, Josh Hatton. Josh is a Customer Success Manager here at Columbus. Josh is a Columbus Food Service Delivery Specialist that promotes digital transformation through our business solution portfolio focused on Microsoft Dynamics Nav, Business Central, Dynamics 365 for sales, Power BI, application services, and infrastructure services. So without further ado, Josh, I'll hand it over to you.
Hello and good morning or afternoon, depending on your time zone. Thanks, Alexis. Wanted to also say just a quick special thanks to our clients for allowing Columbus to help just facilitate their digital transformation. And with that, we are going to go through these 7 Columbus food success stories, and the topics or the agenda are on the next slide here. So we'll flip over. So we're going to spend some time talking through these 7 here. Not going to go through and announce them or anything. You'll see those as we run in line with the presentation. So on to the first one, which is Muffin Town. Muffin Town's actually a company called JSB Industries, and they provide fresh and frozen bakery products really for every type of retail and food service provider. So we're talking C-stores and supermarkets and club stores and grocers and even entertainment venues, schools, healthcare facilities, and caterers, or even the travel industry really. So they also have, they being Muffin Town, has 2 kosher and nut-free baking facilities as well. And then they possess the capability to service really any potential consumer need. They're known for really high quality and delicious at that, like muffins, bagels, bagel stuffers. They've got these cool stacking loaves, and then they have a lot of frozen and then ready to bake cookies. Muffin Town's been a long time client of Columbus. We've had a really nice and lengthy partnership, and they've gone through several projects with us. Some larger reimplementations and upgrades would include a NAV 09 to 2016, and then we're currently actually involved with Muffin Town in a reimplementation from that 2016 version to Business Central in the on-premise version 14. Let's flip over to the next slide, which is the challenges here for these folks, and really since their inception in the late 70s, 1978. They've grown exponentially, and as a result, though, of all the growth and the quick growth, Muffin Town experienced some outdated software that helped to halt effectively expansion and then sideline some of the potential future growth. And that was a risk that they really wanted to mitigate. At the time when we first got involved with Muffin Town, they were on an older MAS 90 system that they'd been on for about 15 years. And then when they engaged with us in, I don't know, around the mid 2000s or so, it was to help them meet their accounting and operational needs. Muffin Town's employees really relied on a lot of manual processes to operate their businesses and business operations day to day. All of the inventory and stock, it was completed via physical count. And then that with the multiple disparate spreadsheets that were in use, it made it really just tough to manage. You can see the quote here from Brian where he said that he spent up to 60% of his time patching things together, and that he really just dreaded it. So insofar as the solution that we came to cohesively and together, we were able to help provide Muffin Town with obviously NAV with Columbus Foods to help meet their specific and current future business needs. So some of those things centered around like production control, which provided a robust functionality that many food processors do require. So some of the other initial features that were attractive at the time were things like formulation, production planning, and obviously production control. We also fulfilled management need for a solution that would be easy for their employees to use and learn, as the Microsoft application looks a lot like applications that you're familiar with, or most of us are familiar with, because most of us do use Microsoft. So that the UI for, NAV and Business Central now, Excel, Outlook, so on and so forth, it all runs very cohesively and has a really high retention and user acceptance. So on to the next slide, though, we'll talk a little bit specifically about the benefits of the solutions that I had mentioned. So effectively, what we're looking at is an integration of all aspects of inventory. So we're talking about production, QC, purchasing, accounting, even, and that's given Muffin Town really great pride in the quality of their products and services, and then help them to renew some hope for continued growth and success, and that technology won't stymie that growth and success. So some other really great things for these folks were formulation capabilities within Columbus Food allowed Muffin Town to fully define the methodology used in their manufacturing processes. Extensive line of various baked products, and with this particular functionality, they were able to create formulas and then assign ingredients to those procedures. The production planning and scheduling was utilized both for make to order and make to stock forecasts, and that helped to provide capabilities to take forecasted amounts into the account along with the existing sales orders when helping to determine demand for any particular item. The production controls that were put in place helped to provide robust production control functionality, and those ingredients were then tied to formulas that allowed these folks to automatically report the consumption of raw materials when the production of an intermediate item was recorded. And then finally, of course, with this, it also allowed for the individual user to maintain complete control at all times, and they could also manually modify any values if they needed based on previous settings. Our relationship has really grown with Muffin Town over the years, and it's really been a continued partnership with Columbus and Muffin Town. So we are currently implementing Business Central version 14 for these folks, and the additional functionality that they're looking to harness and garner out of that has to do with warehouse scanning through our scanning product that we call ADC, as well as batch floor processing that takes that consumption that I mentioned earlier to the next level and allows for the recording of output in real-time consumption on the spot. So that helps a lot with the accuracy of consumed materials there again in real time. So with those benefits, let's move on to the next client here. That's Cacique, who is the #1 brand of Hispanic cheeses, chorizos, and creams. They've been in business for over 40 years. They've also remained a family-owned company during that time that's been dedicated to these high-quality products. In 2012, we helped these folks with a NAV 09 installation with Columbus Food. We've also partnered for them with upgrades to versions 2015, and they are now on version 2017. So we've gone from 09 to 15 to 17. Before we get into the challenges and so on and so forth, I wanted to bring up a really interesting fact about just this production process in general, because it takes 10 pounds of milk to produce 1 pound of cheese. So it's really quite a bit of milk, and it's a very quality driven process, and it's derived from the grade of the milk and so on and so forth. But I thought that was an interesting note for everybody. Some of the goals that we were looking to resolve in terms of the challenges had to do a lot with costing, co-products and byproducts, warehousing, and quality. So the challenges for Cacique, being a family-owned manufacturing, having been in business for so long, with 20,000 or so retail outlets that they sell through, was how do we continue to thrive in a highly competitive market when, at the time, we're not really utilizing our systems to the best of our ability, because they're siloed. Our users are having to traverse through multiple systems to have all the data required for the production process, and the additional systems within that particular process essentially stymied scalability, because there's really a short window in this production process to process and grade the raw materials really prior to production. And within the production process, I want to indicate that includes things like pasteurization, separating the cream, going through QC, government grading, et cetera, et cetera. So there's really quite a bit going on. And with this whole short time frame of 72 hours, to get everything graded, it was just it just needed a little bit of work. So the solution that we came to with Cacique was to help them streamline their manufacturing process by tracking activity on the shop floor, and thereby gaining more real-time visibility into operations. So we were able to implement Columbus Food out of the box, with an intuitive user experience that has tight integration for these business applications, and then provide specific features such as commodity costing, lot traceability, and QC, as well as inventory accuracy and warehouse management. The commodity costing granular particularly interfaces directly with the Fed for the laboratory that does the QC approvals, where the milk is graded and then approved for the various products, whether it's milk or cream or cheese or yogurt. What's more is that the functionality in our advanced warehousing and ADC scanning solution has also allowed for directed picking, which is also really interesting. So with that, let's get into some of the benefits here. Effectively, these four are the benefits that we're going to talk about real quickly. So from a costing and receiving standpoint, we're able to help track the shipments and then provide insight into better inventory and inventory management for Cacique. The pricing component also has led to efficiencies in warehouse operations by being able to apply competitive pricing based on industry standards and trends. So effectively, the faster that you have this information, the faster that you can make changes with the market. Co-products and byproducts, the management here of co and byproducts has been a priority for the folks at Cacique, and we do offer a freshness calculator and freshness calculation methods such as date to fresh, sell by dates, best if used by dates, and so on, to help effectively manage the separation of cream for the production. And with these metrics in place, it helped to reduce various food waste, and then byproducts have been consolidated and streamlined as well, leading to effective waste management. So that's been a really positive thing as well. From a warehousing perspective, real-time visibility into the warehouse process has allowed to facilitate the timely distribution of their products, and they're also able to track changes in the production schedule and batch processing into the impact of production. The combination, actually, of the last two items is really cool because it led to some custom programming for their directed picking, which helps with customer centricity, because the directed picking is based on lot preferences, not always, but as requested. So let's say if a client wants a product with a best by X date, the client can make that particular preference, and then through Columbus Food and the programming and enhancements which were done, Cacique is able to locate and pick that particular stock and product for that particular client. So that's something that provides a value add for their clients, and also increases customer centricity, which is a pretty big thing, especially right now when there's so many options and so many folks that you can buy from. From a QC perspective, with the tools that we have in place to access and control quality across the entire operation, Cacique is now able to review their quality performance of their vendors to help support faster decision-making processes, and linked with all business processes, really. Columbus Food QC has helped Cacique to stay true to their business goal, which is really to provide best-in-class products to their clients. and customers. So they're now able to expand their distribution process and then avoid complexities that were initially involved with it. With the Columbus expertise as well as the foresight and vision of the folks at Cacique, and then utilizing the Microsoft stack, they're really looking to automate the DC process and looking ahead. Eddie, the director of IT, had mentioned that this gives them the ability to expand their capabilities with the help of AI and IoT through Columbus. So that's a really great story, and we were happy and are happy to continue to help in their digital transformation. The next client on the docket here is Jasper, Wyman and Sons. This may be the oldest client that we've had. They're family owned since 1874, and they're based out of Maine. Their mission statement is for people to eat more fruit. We keep Wyman's frozen fruit here at the house, and their motto is called, "If you want fresh, buy frozen." So they provide an assortment of berries, mixed berries, and so on and so forth. Blueberries being really kind of their number one, but they do a number of things that include like strawberries and raspberries, and a lot more. They're a vertically integrated company, and they focus on really optimum flavor and nutritional benefits of their products while also promoting sustainability. We've been a partner with Wyman for quite a while. This is another client that we've had for, I'd say, close to 15 years or so. We've got another fun fact here. Wayman's is really known for being a fun place to work. You can see the quote here by John that said, "My dad was an engineer here, and now I'm here with Wayman's." Most of their employees have been there for more than 20 years. It's a really great place to work. So shout out to those folks. As we approach the challenges here, though, it's a lot to do with these items here: inventory, production order data, and lot tracking challenges. So wild blueberries are the main product, and once they're packaged, those products are sold through 3 channels. Those are retail, that's fairly obvious; ingredient, so sold to other manufacturers; and then food service, right? So food service is hospitals and schools and things of that nature. So the whole food service and distribution channel. The data entry and management for these 3 channels at the time were handled manually, and that was one of the major challenges that we faced together, which was to reduce those manual processes. So inventory was housed in separate locations, and there was really just no visibility or any way to track the fresh blueberries through the production process from end to end. So insofar as the solution is concerned, we were able to work with them to increase their efficiency and creativity. A note about this is that during the peak harvest season in August and September, we became heavily involved, even though this was during their peak season. So support and implementation consultants from Columbus got involved to visit the plants at Wyman's, because we wanted to understand at its highest and toughest capacity, when the plant's running 24 hours a day kind of thing, to see those manual processes in place and see how they needed to automate and to help resolve a lot of the issues that they were having. So working together, we were able to provide them a solution to help change that. And we were able to understand the business processes in a very busy and hectic time for them, and then supply a fully integrated food vertical module through Columbus Food to help with farming and selling of their own products by optimizing databases. We were able to help break down the walls between these siloed applications and then unify business processes to give Wyman's better visibility and increased employee productivity also. So Columbus Food helps Wyman's then record data to a production order, such as food safety inspections. That particular information is transferred into NAV, and then stored for future references. During that peak season in August and September that I mentioned, the plant it runs effectively 24 hours a day. And now with these optimized databases, they do have a unified business processes with better visibility and increased employee productivity. Now, as a result of that, the benefits that were yielded were that they were able to add more visibility into their manufacturing process, effectively from not farm to table, but like farm to selling, so farm to packaging, and then finally selling, and then able to increase their digital capabilities as well. So they're really looking forward to adding more visibility into their manufacturing processes, and with the increased efficiency and transparency among these particular sales channels, they've created a modern and seamless customer experience, which is powered by the digital capabilities to help strengthen growth through NAB and Columbus Food. And then by adopting a digital transformation strategy and then aligning it with Wyman's business strategy, they've been able to pave the way for boosted innovation and increased business value. So it's been a really fun and great experience together working with these folks over the years. So we'll flip to the next client here, which is Mrs. Gerry's. It's actually founded by a Gerry and a Gerry. So a Gerry with a J and a Gerry with a G, and her husband and wife combo, and both G and J are visible in the company logo. There does exist a Mr. Gerry as well. And then for over 40 years, Mrs. Gerry's has continued to bring the best salads and salad dishes using their premium ingredients across various retail stores, restaurants, and more. They're headquartered in Minnesota, and they have the Mrs. Gerry's family recipe is a consumer favorite. So with all the flavors and qualities and the small batch production approach, these become the hallmarks of what they do as a unit. Adding another sort of a fun fact here, that Columbus is actually named after Christopher Columbus, and Mrs. Gerry's it needed to stay on top of the new trends to help produce more lettuce, as they're producing 35 million pounds a year. But it was Christopher Columbus who actually initially introduced lettuce to the Americas. So I thought that was kind of a fun little play on things there. So wanted to share that with you before we get into their specific challenges, which have a lot to do with their shelf life, and that they require shipping within 2 days. So that's really the main thing that they were looking to address, and they wanted to reduce their lead time for ingredients to effectively enable a faster shipping process. So operating on the Microsoft Dynamics Nav platform, Mrs. Gerry's wanted to modernize their ERP system so that they could customize their daily operations according to those business needs, which were there again to increase and help increase that particular lead time. So with NAB and Columbus Food, we're able to provide better traceability in the warehouse operations to improve accuracy and tracking, receiving and shipping of their products. So they were able to gain real-time visibility into those operations, and then based on past and current buying trends, they're able to bring accuracy into the inventory and inventory management of their raw materials on site, all of which are helping to align with those particular needs that they're looking to fulfill. And that would bring us to the next slide, which is benefits. There were a handful of things that we installed at Mrs. Gerry's. Of course, some of those things that they've really appreciated were the flexibility of the setup, planning and reporting, and even the accounting and systems processing automation. So from a functionality or granular standpoint, some of the highlights were rebates and commissions, batch planning, and analytics. I'll talk about each one of those real briefly here. So rebates and commissions, basically based on the sales and the purchase activity, Mrs. Gerry's was able to set up sales and marketing plans in which amounts are accrued and paid out to their particular recipient, which that's not super flashy, but it's important and it needs to be done. From a batch planning perspective, Columbus provided production setup, planning and reporting features to allow Mrs. Gerry's to leverage the flexibility in creating different types of packages and kinds of packages that can be included in their BOMs or bill of materials. Inventory management, I guess another one I should note, and that helped with the visibility into the existing production activities. I know we already highlighted that a bit, but it also helped to assign the equipment and ensured that Mrs. Gerry's was able to schedule new production batches appropriately. And then from an analytics standpoint, we're able to help capture customer insights using predictive or near predictive data to optimize their production forecast based on company goals. So with that, let's flip to the next client here, which is an Ohio-based dessert and dip manufacturer. And we've got a client in Ohio that's what they do, right? They make an assortment of desserts, dips, and specialty products. They continue to make traditional favorites like sour cream or spin dip and pudding and gelatin in a number of flavors. They've also expanded over the years to the Hispanic market. That's been a great area of growth for them, and they've made strides in penetrating this market with products such as layered dips, flan, rice puddings, and just a wide assortment of specialty gelatin products. So from a challenges standpoint, it was complex, but cut and dry. They acquired two companies, and they wanted to roll them up into NAB and Columbus Food to help align with their current business processes. So the solution and the benefits we work to provide were really kind of twofold. You know, a smooth transition and then integrating systems appropriately. So we worked with them to integrate their systems with the acquired data and then rework their infrastructure to operate efficiently and effectively with full visibility from all three of the new units into one unit for business processes and output of each location. Those consolidations were also done in a singular instance of NAV with Columbus Food, all housed at the corporate offices in Ohio, and then the acquired companies, logging in via RDC VPN stop connections. The updated warehousing system did include racking and labeling, which led to some great process changes for them that helped gain a multitude of warehouse efficiencies. So if we kind of run through it from end to end, basically they reached out to Columbus to say, hey, we acquired a couple of systems. One of those, or a couple of companies rather, one of those companies was on AX, Microsoft Dynamics AX, and they had InsightWorks for their WMS. Those particular products were sunset with the implementation of Microsoft Dynamics NAV with Columbus Food. The employees were really happy though, because the UI between AX and NAV are really similar, but overall, since NAV is a little bit less complex than AX, it was easier to use, and there was excellent training retention for the end users. So the conversion, which also sunset InsightWorks then, that they were using for warehousing and their handhelds, and we put them on the Columbus Food warehousing, as well as our handheld solution called ADC, or Automated Data Capture, which is designed to integrate directly with Columbus Food. So that was a really nice transition there, and smooth as well. The second company, however, it had its own set of challenges in that it didn't have a warehouse system in place when they were acquired. So we were able to add with this company, we're able to add warehousing, labeling, and scanning, which led to some huge process changes and helped gain a lot of efficiency. So the client as a whole was really able to consolidate, those three locations into one corporate entity for finance, order entry, logistics, transportation, instead of being spread over three different companies. So it really made them a lot more cohesive, which was great. Manzana products, they were founded in 1922, so not quite as old as Wyman's, but they've been around for almost 100 years. And as you might have guessed it, if you know anything about apples, they are in the apple industry. Manzana is a type of apple, so they produce really a number of fully organic apple products for club stores, grocers, and various high-end retail chains, and normal retail chains, so Walmart, Kroger, Safeway, etc. So they also supply various organic juices, pouch foods, and even apple cider vinegar as a byproduct of their manufacturing process. Essentially, if there's an organic food from apples, then the odds are that Manzana manufactures it. They're a more recent client of Columbus, and we help Manzana to launch and deploy Microsoft Dynamics NAV 18 with Columbus Food. They were on previously 13 with a company called Just Food, and then we converted those folks and helped to convert those folks to NAV 18. Coming into our challenge here, the slide's kind of cool where you can see it moving along, of course. being a historic company of nearly 100 years means that you have a lot of history and also quite a few customers, and you can even get some convoluted processes, as it were. And for better or worse, at the time, NAV 13 was fairly ineffective for them for what they were looking to do and how they were looking to do it. So as a result, they had some issues with inventory accuracy, costing, receiving, and quality that they wanted to tackle along with Columbus. And from a solution and benefit standpoint, what we're looking at kind of from end to end is that we did a re-implementation for them where we went from NAV 13 with Just Food to NAV 18 with Columbus Food. We also simplified and helped to improve their production reporting. The previous systems lagged behind a bit, and it now operates in real or nearly real time. And this particular report had a really solid ROI that helped to cover a fair bit of costs of the implementation, which was good. That's always a great plus to have. Essentially, Manzana gained better and more accurate costing. We're able to better utilize FIFO or first in, first out, and integrated with external payroll systems for greater efficiencies and transparencies into costs and even labor data, which is really important, as you can imagine, for various growers. ADC and warehousing were also implemented, which led to improved inventory accuracy, traceability of the products, and their inventory is much more accurate now. It was funny. We were told that when they go to a bin and they expect something, there's no surprises now, which that's always a good thing. Those of us that have been around a little while have seen a lot of inventory surprises. So Columbus helped to also create an Apple receiving programming or module or with them that helped within ADC that helped them to accommodate for that hectic schedule of shipments when they're running 24/7 during harvest. They're again not dissimilar from folks like Wyman's. These folks kind of run on those same kinds of schedules. When it's harvest time, they're really working really hard to keep up. The last thing that's of note is that the quality modules and the QC controls help lead to better knowledge share and tracking of their goods throughout the production process. So that brings us to Ellison Bakery here. And I myself am an Indiana native, so this last account is near and dear to me. And in 1945, Ellison Bakery started as a one-man shop out of Donald's family garage in Fort Wayne, Indiana, where he sold and delivered baked goods to restaurants and grocers in the area. Now they make a wide range of crunch and inclusion products in different sizes, flavors. So think of just like the crunchy toppings and things like that you would put on things. They have custom capabilities for that as well if clients are looking for something. And then also they produce a lot of cookie products, which are generally customized to their clients for very distinctive tastes and textures and characteristics that provide those characteristics from the combination of their core ingredients. So from a challenges standpoint, this was another client that was on Just Food with NAB and looking to transfer to Columbus Food. Internally, they had a lot of attrition, and that attrition led to a staff who wasn't really familiar with the NAB 09 application. So they also had the challenges of inventory in that they had to do physical checks once a month, and in between that once a month time, it was really hard to know what the inventory on hand looked at without going out and doing a physical. Further, there were lots of things that were kept in Excel and paper-based processes, manual processes that had become ineffective for both reporting and costing. So that led to some decreases in employee satisfaction, various factory efficiencies, and then just overall the way the operation was running as a whole. So from a solutions and benefits standpoint, we were able to add things like standard costing, jet reports, and various production controls and obviously give the employees a better and more cohesive user experience through the training. So end to end, we performed a reimplementation with Columbus Food, as well as, again, our scanning solution, ADC, for warehousing. From a finance standpoint, though, and reporting perspective, the new staff was able to learn and train on the new system, and they became more comfortable and confident in the system, which makes everybody's job a little easier. Also, the manual reporting and costing is now ABC costing and ran within NAB. For reports, they're now using Jet. Jet Reports is now utilized instead of Excel, so that's a great step in the right direction. Columbus Foods process manufacturing modules have allowed for the utilization of BOMs, or bill of materials. Columbus also helped to integrate with Ellison's MES system, which is MES is a manufacturing execution system. It's from a company called Rockwell, called Factory Talk, and that particular integration has allowed for this part's really, I think, really neat, but it's allowed for production orders and recipes to go right to the screen on the production floor at the mixing stations that control the machinery, so the user can see and follow recipes and so on and so forth through the production process. And if we go back to the ADC and warehousing, that's helped to give them, the benefits of inventory tracking, bin-to-bin movements, and better real-time visibility into their process. So that brings us to the last slide here. And before we get into any questions, just another thank you to these clients and all of our clients. I want to definitely stress that Columbus, we're not the hero here. We're simply a facilitator of this digital transformation, and our clients have the vision and the thoughts and the process to move forward, and they're just using us as a tool to do so.
All right, thank you so much, Josh. Now we'll take some time to address questions from the group. Please enter in your questions in the chat box on the right side of the screen. We do have a couple questions to kick us off here. Josh, how many clients in the space do you typically work with? What kind of industry verticals?
Myself or Columbus?
It does not say. So would
sure.
you know Columbus in general?
Yeah, I'd say in general, in the NAV and BC space specifically, we've probably got about 100, somewhere between 120 and 150 clients. In that particular mix, we're pretty focused on food and beverage. We can provide services horizontally, but we have a lot of clients in either food, beverage, food related, say food distribution, or life sciences or other process manufacturers. So I would say about 90% of those particular clients are within that particular channel. Some of the other specialties, of course, that we have just as a company cohesively, Columbus is a very large company with about 2,000 employees, and we operate in almost 50 countries. So as a unit cohesively, we do very well in the food space, in the retail space, in the distribution space, and then in the manufacturing space. The manufacturing space is really split into two sections, one being discrete manufacturers, so those making things that you can break down into their original components. So think of things that are like metal, and then process manufacturers. So generally those folks that make things that are consumable, so food, medical, like life sciences, and things like breweries and beers and produce and so on and so forth. And then I specifically work with about 40 clients myself.
Awesome. Do you have recommendations for on-premise versus the cloud?
So yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of changes over the years. So insofar as how things are divvied up and how things are considered, a lot of folks are at least now starting to make moves or more moves toward the cloud, whether that be hosted, which is infrastructure as a service. Officially, that's still an on-premise deployment, but it is hosted, so servers are somewhere else, right? It's not your hardware. That decreases the total cost of ownership by quite a bit. Also, full SaaS is a big play now, and will continue to be so, and I expect that to continue to grow over time as well. Microsoft's got some spiffs in place for that, and as companies change and streamline and really kind of embrace digital transformation, more and more folks are likely going to end up pushing ahead toward full cloud or full SaaS solutions. But we'll take it case by case, based on the client's need, their current infrastructure, age of that infrastructure, into life, things of that nature, and then help them, just kind of help facilitate that process as best we can.
All right. If there are no additional questions here, I'd like to thank you all for attending today's presentation. We do have a lot of free virtual events coming up this month, including our first ever Microsoft Power BI Dashboard in a Day event coming up on the 12th. Here, I'll drop that link for our events in the comments section. So we will be sharing this link as well in a follow-up email along with today's recording, so you can share that with your colleagues. Again, if you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to our contact email, us-marketing@columbusglobal.com, or you can reach out to Josh directly. Thanks again, Josh, for giving us such a great overview of 7 Columbus Food success stories. That concludes our webinar today. So thanks again, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.